everyone. How are you doing? I'm Marisa Shadrick, online marketing consultant and certified copywriter. And with me today is Kathy Farah, the one and only ConvertKit email strategist. Welcome, Kathy. How are
Hello,
you?
hello. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, other than having tech issues today. We're
I
trying
was going to
to
say your patience was great.
we're trying to record live on LinkedIn. And guess what? Like everything else, every tool, everything, once you learn it, they change it.
Just like
They
that.
change everything. Isn't that the way it is? Even with our topic today about creating irresistible offers, we think we have
Yes,
everything figured out, and then the whole game changes, right? And so we're
yes.
starting over from scratch. But I'm so glad that you're here and listening. Today we have a really interesting topic. And it's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. So I titled this episode that How to Create Free Offers Your Audience Can't Refuse, those so-called quote unquote irresistible offers. So we're going to unpack that a little bit. And then we're also going to do a critique today. We have a critique from Laura Magnum Broome, and her lead magnet is one that she uses when she's a podcast guest. And we're going to take a look at that. So for listeners who are listen only mode, you're going to be able to hear us describe what the lead magnet is. But if you want to get a little closer view and you want to actually see what we see, you can always click the YouTube option. You'll be able to see the actual lead magnet and some of the comments that we're making on it. So first of all, we're going to talk about those irresistible offers. So Kathy, what's your take on this as far as irresistible offer? I'm curious to hear, what you have to say about this, because we hear it thrown around a lot.
Yes. And it seems a lot easier than done. I mean, I think when you hear this, it's like, oh, sure, I know what I offer. So I'll just whip up something and, I think this is what my audience wants. So this should be perfect. And all I'll do is create this freebie and everybody will run and grab it.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize that you may have missed a few steps. You may have discovered things aren't working as planned. So I think this whole idea of no one offers exactly perfect. We have to do research. We have to dig a little deeper to figure out what's going to work and test to
Mm-hmm.
see if our assumptions are correct, even with what research we may do.
Yeah, I think a problem that a lot of people, and I've fallen into this too, is that we don't give the free offers as much attention as we do the paid offers because they're
Yeah,
free. And we
right.
figure, well, it's free. They're going to download it. They're going to give me their email address because it's free. So because it's free, we kind of gloss over, we kind of think that as long as we have a beautifully graphically designed PDF on Canva, that's going to be it. Or maybe you even work on the copy and we've got some copy in there that helps, or maybe graphics that help. And we think, oh, this is perfect. This is going to allow me to get at least 50 subscribers a month, and I'll be able to grow my email list in about 3-4 months and then launch my product. And then all of a sudden, crickets, they don't hear anything. So obviously that's telling us it's more than graphics. It's more than copy. It really has to deal with something that's not only going to capture their attention, but something that's going to bring some type of fulfillment right away. Now, we've talked about reducing complexity and also, being able to help people save time. Those are absolutely true. But when it comes to the initial part of a lead magnet, of a free offer, we have to really do the pre work almost as much as we do when we're selling something. And so if we're taking a slice of what we sell and we're going to offer that free, all that pre-work we did for that product we're going to sell applies with the free resource as well. Wouldn't you say
Yeah.
that's true, Kathy? There's a lot
Yeah,
more
I would.
behind the scenes.
There is a lot more work because I think, the assumption is sometimes that free is enticing enough.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were just describing, with even with all the other bells and whistles, free isn't enough. And I think honestly, people are overwhelmed. So it really has to grab your attention. Is this something that's going to be helpful for me right now in that moment? So I think that's something that as we're researching this and realizing that we can't just create even that, even if we do spend the right amount of time, that free offer, it's not a one and done. We may have to go and offer more things. And I
Right.
think get past a little bit of that mindset of thinking that I don't want to give away everything, like, oh, this is too
Right.
good, but you really
Yeah.
need it to be too good. Like you need it to really kind of show a little sample of what you do and how you help transform your ideal audience and your clients, what they
I
gain from it.
totally agree. It needs to be just as good. When they look at it online, they must look at it and think, "Oh, is this a paid offer?" They must look at it in a way that it looks so professional, so polished, and so to the point, right? Because, like you said, I love what you said. Free is not enough. You would think free
Right.
is enough, but it's not. Free is
Mm-mm.
not enough. People are very careful about giving their email address. Plus, your market changes. And some people
Yes.
think one lead magnet's enough, and they created something maybe 3 years ago. Maybe their business has evolved even more, and they've created something, and then that's it. They just put all their all their efforts into that one lead magnet, and they should consider creating multiple lead magnets. And some people say, consider creating a new lead magnet every year. I would say, depending on the outcome, maybe it's time to consider a new lead magnet and have a variety of ways to come into a building. You know how a building has many doors? Find ways to
Yes.
bring people in through a different door. Because I'll
Hmm.
tell you, those big companies that have these lead magnets that convert, and there's all kinds of lead magnets. I mean, you talk about quizzes, PDFs, webinars, a lead magnet. There's a lot of lead magnets, but those companies, they do a lot of testing first. They test the copy, they interview clients, they try to figure out, what it is that they need right now today. Because look, since even 2020, all the changes we've gone through, right? What
Yeah.
resonated 3 years ago may not resonate today.
Right. Right. And I think it's almost even more overwhelming today. I think
Mm-hmm.
so much has changed and so many people are really kind of out in the marketplace trying to offer free things
Mm-hmm.
to get people on their list because that is what we've always been told is create, a free guide or free something PDF and that's all you have to do. And that
Mm-hmm.
gets them in the door and there you go. So I think everybody's kind of has done that and it sort of has flooded the market. So now it's people are being a lot more choosy about what things they're gravitating to. It really
Mm-hmm.
has to tap into their what their needs are at that moment.
Yeah. And it can't be clickbaitish either, just to get
Right.
them to give you, and because you just break trust. And the
Yes.
whole purpose is to build
Yes.
trust, not to create
Right.
something that's clickbait that they download and all of a sudden they're disappointed because this thing is just a plain document that looks like it took them 5 minutes to do. Now,
Right.
am I saying it has to be long? Am I saying it's supposed to be short? What I'm saying is it needs to align with your audience. Because I've seen even short little ebooks as lead magnets that do well because the audience enjoys that
Yeah.
and will read that, but it's not for everyone. So what
Right.
works for one doesn't necessarily work for the other. So it's not really the length of it either. It just depends on saying enough. And I think Ray Edwards said this: make your copy as long as it needs to be to get the point across. So
Yeah.
that goes again to the actual document itself, if it's a document. Like I said, there's other lead magnets too. Maybe you have an automated webinar. Again, all the copy tips that we shared about making it benefit driven, outcome based, identifying the audience, all those things are important in the copy. But if you don't figure out what it is they want, you could do that all day long. It's not going to land. And
Right.
so I think it's being willing to do the work that nobody else will do. and that will help you stand out. And nobody wants to
Yeah.
hear that.
Right.
But we want to be
Because it's
honest, don't
hard.
we? Don't
Yeah.
we, Kat? We want to be honest with
Yes.
you. There's
Yeah,
no magic bullet. There's
that's
no
right.
magic bullet. But you can create an irresistible offer if you do the pre-work to figure out exactly what it is that they need.
And
Is
think
that a,
about just, I was going to say, even think about how you are as a person and what you consume.
mm-hmm,
Where I was a couple of years ago and the things that I was looking for at that time is very different than what I'm looking at and looking for today. And that evolves just like with anyone else. So your audience is going to evolve, and what worked for them before may not work now. And as we've already kind of talked about, but you can just think about just the way you consume content and what
mm-hmm.
would have enticed you a few months ago versus now, and what you're sort of looking for. You need to be asking your audience that same question. What is really clicking, looking in forums and things like that to try to find out where your audience hangs out and sort of what they seem to be frustrated by. How can
Right,
you help solve that problem for them?
right. And I think too, when people create a new lead magnet, we're doing our due diligence. We're trying to figure out, doing our homework, our pre-work to try to figure out what it is that they want. But then if it doesn't get the response we're hoping for, um, it's not a time to throw up our hands and go, oh, well, I guess I'll start over and try to figure something else out. Let me see what my competitors are giving, or let me see what someone else is doing and do that. No, no. It, most people, and I'm going to tell you the truth, because most people will adjust and tweak to see if it was the copy, and then the copy could be the headline, and they tweak one thing. Maybe it's the headline and the outcome. Maybe it's the graphic. Maybe the graphic looks too promotional.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know until you test. So by testing, you begin to dial it in, and then you look back at analytics. And you're familiar with this, Kathy, because you look at a lot of analytics. Analytics
Yes.
tells us a lot, right?
Sure. Yeah, and even like one of the thing that I am thinking about is sometimes just changing the headline.
Mm-hmm.
What grabs the attention, kind of framing it a little different. But you're right, looking at the analytics, seeing whether or not people are opening, engaging with it, what your click rates are, that type of thing makes a difference. Are you getting the numbers of people joining your list that you anticipated? If you're not seeing those results, then something's not working and it's time to investigate and make some changes.
Yeah. And here's why I think it's so important to focus on the lead magnet with great intention, is because the lead mag is the beginning of the relationship, and it's the beginning of the
Yeah.
nurturing sequence. And those become warm prospects that will later potentially would become buyers.
hmm
We focus so much on the sales and the product and not give enough attention to the lead magnet, when the lead magnet is what starts the whole ball rolling. So all
It's
of
the
that
first
work.
impression.
Mm-hmm, yeah, absolutely. And then the placement of it, right? We want to use it and put it everywhere that we can to test it well. Because, and one of the things too, Kathy, that I've noticed, because I ask people, these questions, and I ask them if they have like a call to action, like after they do like an article or a newsletter or something on social. And a lot of times there isn't.
Right.
And I'm going,
Missed
why?
opportunities. Yeah.
Why isn't there a call to action? Because if you're providing free, helpful content online, you can always, that gives you permission. You have permission. Okay. You have
Yeah.
permission to put a call to action. That's why you're doing it, because you're in business. So you could put a call to action and offer them this great free resource. So everything becomes really around that topic of what you want to sell, the transformation you provide. You pull out a little piece, a slice of that, and then you talk about that in your post. So it makes a
Yeah.
natural transition for the free resource. So there's a strategy behind it. You don't go off grid and start talking about other things where there's not alignment or reason to download your resource, right? So
Right.
all of that plays in, So to create an irresistible offer, can we? We can if we're willing to do the things that most people won't. And that is, let's break it down for them. Where should they start, Kathy? Number one.
Research.
Yeah, research.
Yes, research. Talking to your audience, surveying your audience, talking to your clients, like what are people's pain points? What challenges are they experiencing? What problems are you able to solve? If you're being able to talk to your audience or groups that you participate in to find out what's most needed right now, how can you eliminate anxiety
Mm-hmm.
or worry or some, ease struggles with the thing that you do, kind
Mm-hmm.
of is the first place, like, okay, now you can kind of think about what you might offer to help fix that problem, resolve that issue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Trying to find out what would make a difference for you right now in your business as far as your workflow or your lead acquisition or any of those things. Asking them specifically, what would make a difference? What would be the difference maker? What would you want given to you that would help your day to day right now? And then a lot of times what they say could be something that you can create for them. So
Yeah.
definitely. And then, headlines are super important. I would suggest creating a lot of headlines first on a draft copy and looking to see which ones really pack a punch as far as the outcome, being honest and has an
Yeah.
outcome transformation, and using that language because you only have a little bit of space, right? So we want to make sure that we make the most out of that space and make it super clear, not clever, so that then when they see it, they can self-identify. So,
Right.
because we don't have a lot of time, do we, Kathy?
No, and I think let's touch on that point again, that it's a mindset shift of clever, isn't what you need. It's clear. It's so that
Mm-hmm.
someone can just very easily understand what you're offering and what is it resolving? What problem is it resolving? I think our general thought is that we need to make it sound fun or,
Yeah.
interesting than just being direct about what it is that
Yeah.
you're offering.
And clear isn't always easy.
Right. It is hard. I think it's far harder to write clear than it
the
is to
the
add a
less
lot more adjectives.
Yeah, the less words you have, the harder
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with things and this and that and that. So if you want
Right.
this, and this, and this, then download this and you'll get this, and this, and this. That's because you're missing a word that's really going to explain what this is if you got to add too many of those adjectives. Yeah, for sure. But that's a good place to start. And then once you do the research, then you test, right? Number two is you test
Yeah.
and you put it out there. And I would suggest test it organically for like 30 days.
Right. Yes.
And then where should
Yeah.
they go to see how it's performing, Kathy?
They look
Because,
at their analytics and
yeah,
see how what's happening. Are people coming and checking it out? So then you could test just one or two elements, make a change. Like if the analytics are not looking the way you would anticipate, then you could change one element and
yeah,
see if that changes something. So that's kind
yeah,
of that idea of the A/B testing, where it's test this and then try this,
yeah,
and see how those pieces work instead of changing everything,
yeah. No,
which
that's
is
too
our
much.
tendency. Like, it's toss it out, let's just start over. Sometimes those little small tweaks may be exactly what clicks for
Yeah.
someone else.
And if you have no idea whatsoever where to start, again, not every lead magnet is for everyone. There's different types. There's quizzes, PDFs, there's ebooks I've seen. There's all kinds. There's templates. For a while their templates were really popular. I don't know anymore with AI if they are as much. I don't know. I'd have
Right.
to look that up. But if you don't know where to start, just those integrating those one question surveys, one question throughout your memberships, your email community, your social community, having it as a standard of once in a while just asking questions to get that feedback to figure out if you're really hitting the target is very helpful. because the market does change and people evolve. And
Right.
so that's always helpful to have that as an ongoing thing that goes on. And you could even do something like that and automate it in your email marketing, which Kathy's good at that. So
Yeah.
gets a sequence going, right? Where periodically
Yes.
they can send a survey, a one question, keep it simple.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Think, yeah, power of one, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just something that's very easy for you to kind of get a little more feedback as you go throughout the process in your welcome sequence.
Yeah. Yeah. We spent a little extra time on this because it's just one of those topics that I feel bad for people because they make it sound like it's just so easy. Just
Right.
create a simple thing, and do it in a weekend and you're done without
Right.
doing all the pre-work, without reviewing all the analytics, without really seeing if that's what the audience wants. Because if you do everything and you check all the boxes and they don't want that, then why would they buy the product? So,
Right.
and
Does it make
hopefully
sense?
you've done all this to figure out what products you want to offer your audience too.
And I think a lot of times what we do sometimes as small business owners is that we listen to the experts for guidance of should we do a quiz, should we do a masterclass, should we do PDF? We look to the experts, or we start analyzing what all these other companies might be doing instead of really what they
Yes.
are needing and desiring, and actually tapping into the people that we're working with and our
Mm-hmm.
email list and that type of thing is really a much more productive use of your time than being overwhelmed of checking everything on Instagram and LinkedIn or wherever to
Yeah.
see what the experts are doing in their market,
Yeah.
because their audience may respond differently to
Yeah.
whatever their free guide or freebie is for their email list.
Yes, for sure. And then if you have an offer that's an intangible, like if it's something to do with mindset, it applies even more so. You have to be so
Yeah.
clear so they understand what this transformation is. And so they download that freebie. And so they'll be willing to invest in the product that you have. So understanding the right audience too is important, which kind of segues into our lead magnet that we're going to critique. She's done an amazing job. So I don't think we'll spend too much time on it,
Yeah.
but she has an intangible, right? So this is a
Yeah.
great example of that. It's I Cope to Hope. And this particular lead magnet that Laura Magnum Broome has given us to review, is one that she gives to podcast hosts when she's a guest. And so this is for their audiences. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And so we'll try to talk through, for those listening to the audio, what we see. So let me share my screen here. All right. Kathy, can you see that?
Not yet.
Do I need to
Okay.
make it a little
Yes,
bigger?
I can now. Just a little bit, please.
Okay,
Thank
there
you.
we go.
Perfect.
She's got two square boxes side by side with a logo on top that says I Cope to Hope. And there's a background, and you barely see the background. It looks almost like an office setting background, or a cup of coffee, a desk of some sort in the background. So there's an image background overlay, and then two boxes. The left box is blue, the right box is white. And the left box has images, and the right box just has fields for an email address. So, Kathy, do you want to read what it says in those boxes starting from left to right?
Sure. In the left side box, it's 20 key strategies to strengthen resilience and embrace change.
Love
And
that.
then on the right side, it implement these strategies today and begin a new chapter of your life. And then
Now,
it's enter your first name, email address, and get checklist.
yeah. So the one box is really just for feels, the one on the right, and the left one is the creative. So the image is that of a PDF document, and you kind of see like an iPad view and then pages behind it. So we see that there's multiple pages in this PDF, And the headline, 20 key strategies to strengthen resilience and embrace change. For those people, now we're looking at the psychographic, right? More than a demographic. Because we're not talking about business owners, we're not talking about men, we're not talking about women, we're not talking about stay-at-home moms, we're not talking about any of that. We're talking about those people that need to embrace change and need resilience. So it's more of that psychographic. 20 key strategies to strengthen resilience to embrace change, because change is difficult. So what do you
Yes.
think of that headline?
I like it. I think that it gives you an idea of what you're going to get,
Mm-hmm.
and what it's trying to do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to have the strategies to be able to strengthen your resilience and embrace change. Change is something that's hard to do. So to have some strategies on helping you to go through major changes or be able to strengthen your resilience as you start to change, I think is a helpful topic for really anybody going through life transitions.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of people go through lots of changes, and change is the most difficult thing to go through, especially when we don't
Yes.
initiate it, right? So
Right. Right.
I know. So on the right side, right above the fields to put your name and email, it says implement these strategies today, creating a little bit of urgency,
Yeah.
implement these today and begin. So this is the trade. Implement them today so you can get this result. And the result is, and begin a new chapter of your life. So I love how she phrased that, because we can all look back at moments in our lives where things shifted and it was a new chapter. For example, people that went to college and graduated, a new chapter begins. People that get married, right? And all of a sudden start a family, a new chapter begins. People maybe in retirement, right? A new chapter begins. People start a career. Maybe they start their own business. A new chapter begins. So we can think of those times of a new chapter and how significant they were, because it was a
Right.
shift, but it's not easy.
Right.
So
Right.
I think with the amount of words that she used here, I think she did a really great job.
Yeah. I think she's made it clear. It's not overly clever, right? It's intentionally clear and helps you, because just like what you just did, that's what you start to think to yourself is those moments of where something changes. And I
Mm-hmm.
think all of us can kind of relate to those moments. Like for myself, I'm currently going through changes. So it's like these things that are happening. I think that's relatable to the audience as they're going through that experience. And that's what you're going to start to draw to. It allows you to believe it really would apply to anybody, experiencing change in their life.
And she didn't waste any of the space, too, because even the
No.
button gives us a little bit more insight to what this document is, because the button says get checklist.
Yes.
So we understand, and she didn't have to put that in the copy. She just put it in the button,
Yep.
get
That's
checklist.
great. Yep.
So I know
Clear.
it's clear, and there's going to be brevity. There's going to be 20 things on this checklist for me to be able to become more resilient and embrace change, whether it was initiated by me or not. And it's going to help me if I implement them today. That's my part, right?
Yeah.
To really embrace and begin a new chapter of my life. And maybe it's health, maybe it's fitness. It could be a lot of different things. So
Hmm.
I like the fact that it's so simple and clear. I really
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
Now
I
she's
agree.
got more, but wait, there's more. As
Oh,
I
I
know,
love it.
as we scroll down, she elaborates on this now.
Okay. Yes.
Now, but the
Gives you some
top above the
examples. Yep.
fold said a lot, didn't it? Above the
Yes.
fold said a lot. But if you need a little more, you scroll down, and then she's got a headline or a subhead that says, Life is full of unexpected twists and turns. Now she's addressing the pain, right? The problem.
Yes.
And then she begins to, let me make this a little bigger because the font is a little
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go.
There we go. So, I mean, I'm loving this. I think the only
Yeah.
feedback so far is make the font a little bigger.
Yeah.
so, so
Yes.
here, you want to read this?
Sure. Yeah, and I want to one other comment too. This kind of addresses both type, your audience's differences in some people are just straight to the point. You gave me what I needed at the very beginning. Boom, I want to sign up. I don't need any
Exactly.
additional information. And
Mm-hmm.
now this is for the people that want to learn a little bit more before they're going to make a decision.
Great point. Love that.
So, to start with what she's got, navigating these challenges requires resilience and a positive mindset. The 20 key strategies to strengthen resilience and embrace change checklist provides practical and uplifting tips to help you face difficulties with grace and strength. These strategies are the ones I use to overcome bilateral breast cancer, losing my oldest child from suicide, a heart transplant, and a sudden divorce 1 month later. Like right there is a pretty powerful statement of
I
all the
know.
change that she has the background. I just had to say that. Like she said that very succinctly.
That was like drop the mic credibility,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And that was
Yes.
right under that. I mean, we didn't read too far. We
Right.
just went right in and she brought that credibility up there. So now we're going, okay, I want to listen more what this lady has to say.
Exactly. So I encourage you to focus on what you can control, find joy in everyday moments, and build a supportive network. Here's a summary of the key benefits of this invaluable checklist.
Okay. Can we stop right
Okay.
there? Because right before
Yes.
we go to the bullets, I
Okay.
love that she gave them value already
Yes.
in this opt-in page because she said not only she goes, I encourage you to focus on what you can control. She's already giving them some insight.
Yes.
Find joy in everyday moments
Yeah.
and build a supportive network. She just gave them 3 tips to
Right out
begin
of the
to and
gate.
right out of the gate. So she's already building reciprocity. So I'm,
Mhm.
I'm giving you the jargon so you understand what it is, the credibility. Now there's reciprocity. She's giving them something there. And now she's going to explain the benefits of the checklist in bullet form. This is all white background and text. So nothing fancy, white background and text. Okay, Kathy.
And so this also, which this goes right into what you love with the bullet point. So she's got in bold, avoid thinking traps and focus on facts. And then it changes the font to just regular font, not bold. Instead of getting lost in what if scenarios, this strategy helps you stay grounded by focusing on the facts at hand, conserving your mental energy for productive actions. The next bullet is gratitude and humor as stress relievers. So she then changes the font, kind of goes back to where now it's practicing gratitude daily and finding humor in life can significantly reduce stress, making it easier to navigate challenges with a clear and positive mind. So there's another tip. Um, and now in bold, empowerment through control. And then it goes back to regular text, recognizing that you can always have control over your thoughts, words, actions empowers you to make wise decisions and take meaningful steps forward, even in difficult situations. Her next bullet is setting healthy boundaries in bold. On to the next part of the text, identifying your core values and setting boundaries around toxic influences helps protect your mental health and fosters a more positive and supportive environment. And then the final bullet in bold is encouraging proactivity and creativity. So back to regular text. By being proactive and thinking outside the box, you can develop creative solutions to overcome obstacles, enhancing your problem-solving skills and boosting your confidence. So outside of the bullets, now the final statements is resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about learning to thrive despite them. Embrace these strategies and you'll find yourself better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. You've got this.
Wow. That is beautifully done.
She's
Love
done
the
an excellent
bullets.
job. Yeah.
She's got 5 bullets. So if you just read the bold, it said avoid thinking traps and focus on facts. Second is gratitude and humor as stress relievers. Third, empowerment through control, fourth, setting healthy boundaries, and five, encouraging proactivity and creativity. So beautifully done. She just expanded on the idea that she had up above the fold, and she expanded and gave you more. And she even gave you tips. She added credibility and she added reciprocity. And she made it in a way that was clean, a lot of white space, and in bullet form.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
gets a
This
gold
is
star.
very clear. Yeah, she does.
She gets a
Yeah.
gold
I
star.
think this is all very well done. She's done a great job here. And I know
Yeah,
she's been working hard on this. So
she has
she's
been working hard on this and she's really nailed it. And this is an intangible.
right.
This is an
Right.
intangible. So you see how she was able to craft her copy in a way that really showed benefit and value, even though this is an intangible. You can't grab it, you can't touch it, you can't, it's an intangible that, when you help people, increase their ROI, or you help, it's something that they see, right? But for
Yeah.
an intangible, she did a fabulous job, and she said enough above the fold so that people were saying, okay, yeah, that's what I need. They'll put their info in there. And as Kathy said, if they need a little more, right when she begins to tell her stories that these strategies are the ones I used, and she starts talking about breast cancer, losing her oldest son to suicide, a heart transplant, and a sudden divorce, it's like, you got my attention.
Yeah.
So well done. And she didn't do it in a bio form. She just
No.
weaved it into the copy
And
without really
tells you
trying to.
she's using this for herself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she uses these strategies for herself. So she's a living example of the fact that these things work to be able to get through all of those major changes that were
Yeah.
totally out of her control.
Yeah. And in this particular one, since she's using this for podcast guesting, um, it's good the way it is right now.
Yes.
If it was something else, like if she had this like on a social media post or something, you might want to have just a little bit about her at the bottom. If you wanted to have it, but they're already interviewing her, they're talking to her,
Yeah.
they're finding out about her. It's not really needed to do that again. So again, the environment, what precedes it, and what you're trying to do is get them to go ahead and put in their name and email. And she's given even a little bit more. Plus, she's given some tips, and it's well done. It's really well done. So I love this example because it's an intangible. And those are
Yes.
sometimes hard to put
Yeah.
words around an
Hmm.
intangible benefit. And she did a beautiful job. But I know she's worked on this really, really hard to try
And it
to
shows
really.
you the amount of effort. We both know her. We know the amount of effort that it's taken and the length of time it's taken for her to create this free offer. So it kind of supports what you said at the opening of the fact of it, you want to spend an adequate amount of time for even free offers to really grab attention, because this is the reason why. This is the type of outcome that you gain by putting in that effort and really dialing in your message and what you're trying to say in such a beautiful way. And and with intangibles, a lot of times this is where you find it's a little tricky, that you end up having a lot of just adjectives just kind of crammed in there. And instead, I think she's made it very straightforward and clear, limiting that use to where you see the true value. If you need that extra information, you get all these little bonuses along the way.
Yeah. So, Kathy, I'm curious if someone's listening and saying, oh, I need to create something new. Maybe I should ask my email list. Do you help them with those kind of things? Do you help them with little surveys, or do you help them craft what they need to craft to maybe test a new lead magnet? I'm just curious as how far your services go.
Yes. So I do work with people that helping them build their welcome sequences or nurture sequences that are coming from their lead magnet. So a lot of times I work with clients to strategize and make sure that the message continues through as they nurture their relationship after somebody has signed up. So if they've put all the effort into a great opt-in like this, then I would work with somebody to be able to make sure it keeps going back to that that point that it's where they're heading them to the end offer that they're gaining, the paid offer. That's part of what I work with them on, to strategize those, make
Well,
sure their message is clear.
in order to stay true to what we advised, let's give a nice clean call to action to contact you, Kathy, if they need that, right? That'll be our call to action today, right? How
Yes.
can they
So
contact you?
you can reach me on LinkedIn at Kathy Farah. That's Farah, Farah, or you can reach out to me at email with Kathy at kathyfarah.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And thank you to Laura Magnum Broome for giving us an opportunity to take a look at her beautiful lead magnet. Well done on an intangible transformation. She didn't waste any words. She didn't repeat any words. She said exactly what needed to be said above the fold. And it was to the point, and she implemented a lot of copywriting principles within this lead magnet. So
Yes.
very well done. And if you need a podcast guest, you should reach out to Laura.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's on LinkedIn. I know that too. So
Yes, she is.
I will put her contact information in the show notes so that you can reach out to her and hear her story, because she has an amazing
Yes,
story. As
she
you can see,
does.
just from the little bit that she shared there on that lead magnet. So if you need someone that will motivate and inspire your audience, Laura is your gal. So I would encourage you to do that too. So that was okay. I cheated. That was 2 call to actions. What can I say? So you're supposed to only have one. That
The
wasn't really a
power of
call to
one out the
action.
window.
That was just a recommendation endorsement. No. So, so anyway, thank you, Kathy, so much for being with me today. It was a tough topic because I don't want to discourage people, but
Right.
I want them to know that it's not them. I want them to know that it's a
Yes,
process
there's hope.
that, yes, and there's no such thing as just do it, done, and watch them sign up. There's a
Right.
lot that precedes it, a lot that we do to tweak and create multiple lead magnets. And you may be already doing that, not realizing it, because you may be creating workshops and master classes and things like that. So each one is an opportunity to grow your email list, which is your most important asset. Any last words, Kathy, before we say goodbye?
No, thank you. I appreciate the time. I always love these.
I know they're fun, aren't they? All
Yeah.
righty, everyone. Well, thanks so much. And I'll try to get all my LinkedIn game all figured out. And we will stream the new recordings on LinkedIn as soon as we can. And in the meantime, you can always look forward to the replay with all the show notes. Until next time, thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.